and listen to them only.
They're not intelligent.
They want us to be dumb.
They're men, and men must be governed. And if they must be governed, then our prayer as Christians is that they would be governed in the right direction.
Who's going to listen to what we want to do? He's going to use the sword on the people we want him to use the sword on. I don't know, like brown people, rounding up all the brown people, getting them in concentration camps, staging grounds, trying to figure out which of the brown people are legal and which ones aren't. That's what Project 2025 is talking about, folks. The sword. The fucking sword. They're talking about the fucking sword. What do you think Project 2025 in the fucking concentration camps for illegal immigrants is? Round up all the brown people.
Form.
This guy says what he says. It does not affect me in one way, one iota if he says this shit. Says it. Speech is into forced governorship, governing, as he says. Men must be governed. That's where I draw the line. That's where I get my sword out and draw a line in the sand. Friend. Going about swords. We're teddy bear if she wanted to have a certain procedure so that she didn't have to be forced to have her rapist baby and cling to a teddy bear instead. He believes that little girl, that's his idea. That's his ideology. That is what he is saying.
For governing degenerates, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, if you agree, disagree. Um, but I think for our population,
You need power. Power. It's almost like it's part of the storyline here. Huh. Wonder what it could be. It smells like 1930s Germany to me. Wonder what it could be. I wonder why all these fascists seem to have the same Nazi ideas. What is this about? Oh, but there's a courtroom in Manhattan somewhere. There is. Henry asked me, he said, little baby girls, like my daughter, have to cling to a bear, a stuffed bear, named after a fucking Republican who wouldn't shoot a fucking bear that was tied to a tree because he had empathy. All for fucking shitboxes like this idea of power. I'm not going to sell it out. That is not what America is about. It isn't our founding principles. It isn't what we have progressed to. All the work that people before us have done, and we're going to forget about all that. Because, I mean, Lawn Juice 1000 is going to give us a lot of money to do an ad read. And the easiest way for us to do an ad read and get 500,000 people to watch that ad read, because we got to have 500,000 people watch that ad read to make this amount of money. It's the calculation that's happening, folks. Just like this guy's calculating for power.
Men must be governed. you need a Caesar type, Now, if you're asking me my preference, that would probably be my preference, would be a constitutional republic. But I think the conditions for that is a moral people. So I think you can work towards that in the future. But I don't think constitutioning even harder is going to get us out of our current mess. I worse and worse, and then eventually, like a Caesar type, rising through the ranks of populist, figure, and the people, the political will of the people. The people are desperate, and they're like, yes, do it, so and so, and then so and so, Constitution be damned, just rules with an iron fist, and like a Cromwell type, and then you hopefully don't get his son. Maybe then you're able, and then you maybe it's just a one generation, one guy kind of thing, and then you have to move back.
The people who are like, yeah, we're not a republic. Or excuse me, we're not a democracy. We're a republic. They're so easily duped that they'd be like, yeah, this guy's right. We are a constitutional republic. He's right. And that is great, but it's not good enough, obviously. Duh. And the reason why they want to convince you that it's not a democracy, the reason why they want to convince you that you don't have liberty, the reason why they want to chip away at your liberty and your daughter's liberty, your granddaughter's liberty, is because they're trying to convince you little by little by little by little by little by little that you have no control, that you don't have the power. You don't have the power. You don't have the power to vote anymore because we're going to get rid of the 19th. They don't want women to vote. You don't have the power. You ain't got the power. We got the power. I got the power. Now this guy has the power. One motherfucker has the power. Just one. Just one. Just one guy has the power. It's the same stupid fucking ass thing that is going on with the Free Palestinian or Free Palestine mess. They think Joe Biden has absolute power, that he's an autocrat. They think that Joe Biden has the power to go ceasefire, and then there's ceasefire. That's what they think. They do not understand that we do not live in that world. That is not how it works. It isn't how it works. Joe Biden is not a dictator. He's not an autocrat. He's not a king. He's not the king of the world either. He may be. It is possible that the president of the United States, whoever holds that office, the entire world, it is possible. That is probably a true statement. Maybe from moment to moment it changes a little bit, but I would say whoever holds the office of the president of the United States is the most powerful person in the world. But that doesn't mean that they hold unilateral power. But that's what they're asking for. That's what they're advocating. This is what their ideas lead them to. It's the reason why they're embracing Project 2025. It's the reason why they're embracing white Christian nationalism. It's the reason why they're embracing hating women. Embracing hating women. It is their objective. Here, I'm going to give you this is the 1 hour that we went through, and we're going to be releasing clips if we haven't already. Have we already started releasing these clips? I know we pulled I'm telling you, I got a great team that's working here now, and they work so well together. And these people love democracy. We have veterans, we have women, we have former producers, and these folks, they're learning how to use it. They're doing everything they can in every moment to make sure that we do the best we possibly can. And I say we, when I say we here at Tony Michaels Podcast, there is more than just me. It is an entire community. And that's the thing that gives me so much fucking hope. It gives me so much optimism. And it gives me the strength and the will to attack people that most people wouldn't want me to attack. Give you evidence of what is happening. Most people see it as an attack. I just opened up a web page and showed you the web page. But this guy, this is from his Twitter account. This is the hour-long show that he does. And this was his tweet. Are Christian women, quote unquote, birthing machines? That's what they're postulating on this 1 hour. And it's not women postulating this. It's three dudes sitting around asking the question, are Christian women birthing machines? Not women, Christian women. 3 white dudes sitting around. And we're going to release these clips. We're going to pull some of this shit. And we're going to put it in there. But this is who they are. But you know, Michael Cohen in a courtroom, right? Am I right? I mean, he's got a show, man. He's got a show on a certain network, and you gotta make sure you get as many viewers and listeners for those ad reads, because the more you get paid. Tell me I'm wrong. Please prove to me that I'm wrong. You bastard. I mean, go look at what I just showed you. Tell me I'm fucking lying. I mean, and if you can work up enough cognitive dissonance to fucking tell me that I'm wrong. I mean, hey, I like the Trump crack too. I'm not gonna lie, I'm an addict too. I just want to go to rehab, is all I'm saying. I want rehab. I don't want to be addicted to Trump crack anymore. I don't want to be addicted to Trump crack anymore. Whew. Whew. I want to cut this addiction off. Come November, my wish is that we never have to utter that fucking name again. It's not reality, right? That's not reality. Dissonance. Yes, I know. Dissonance. You guys don't like when I get words wrong. Yes, I know, Ratchet. Tony, you're my neighborhood Trump peddler. Look, we traffic in Trump crack. I tell you out loud. We traffic in Trump crack. Fuck that. Hell, half the Discord over there is about going and getting your fix on Trump crack. Hell, a lot of the people over there post the Midas Touch Trump crack in the thing. And I'm not like, hey, you can't post that. You can't post that Trump crack here. Look, listen, I am not a Trump crack Nazi. There are a lot of fans of the Midas Touch Network in the Discord. They there's a lot of people that probably watch every single video from front to back. Same way with Glenn. Same way. I'm sure. That's okay. It's okay. Speaking of grifters, speaking of grifters, I think it's time for me to grift maybe. My grift aren't as sophisticated and and as expensive. But if you want to go to theTonyMichaels.com to really feel the grift, here's how you do it. You go to theTonyMichaels.com, you click subscribe at the top of the page. That's free. It doesn't cost you a single dime. That grift is very cheap. Here's another cheap grift if you'd like. Every single episode, the full 2 hours, you click on this thumbnail right here. Like today's thumbnail is Bears over MAGA. You can see I'm trying to use Trump crack to sell the teddy bear story. You see that? I'm being very transparent about it. I'm not hiding my little Trump crack here. I'm putting my crack right out on the stoop. You know what I mean? Hey man, you want the crack? Right over here. Right over here. I got the crack for you. I got the crack. So there's your daily Trump crack thumbnail. You can grab that. You can also go down, and here's the best grift of all, is that if you're an Amazon Prime user, okay, if you're an Amazon Prime user, listen up. You can actually view the show commercial free. You get rid of the grifting. This is a grift that gets rid of the grifting, if you want to put it that way. So you just link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. And by doing that, you get commercial free viewing because you get one free subscription with your Amazon Prime account to a Twitch creator or streamer or whatever you want to call me, right? A visual radio show. That's what it would be called. It's a visual radio show. That's what I think of it kind of as. It's like how I format it. That's how I think of it. Get rid of the grifting. You just link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Use that one free subscription on your Prime account to subscribe to our Twitch account here at The Tony Michaels Podcast, and you will get 2 hours every single weekday of free, commercial-free viewing of The Tony Michaels Podcast. Also, go join that Discord server because you aren't going to want to miss out on the Trump crack that's over there. If you're a crackhead, if you're a Trump crackhead, if you are a Trump crackhead and you have not admitted server, boy, do we have some crack for you over there. And we also got a book club that a lot of the folks like. That book club is something fancy. And there's a whole support team over there. And by that, I mean a whole community of people who are like-minded, who are realistic in their expectations of democracy, and know the task and know the job at hand is to get anyone and everyone involved in engaging in their democracy and making sure that this November that we pile mountains of votes, not just against Trump, but against MAGA all the way down the ballot. Fuck Jeff Duncan. We want people to go vote against MAGA, against them, all the way down, all the way down. Ratchet says here, Tony, we haven't had a serious show in 4 months. Thank you so much for sharing your passion with us. Me and Vixen felt that all the way. So just go to theTonyMichaels.com and join that Discord server, and you will communicate with people like Ratchet, like Vixen, like Pernella. Pernella, oh my God. If Pernella's listening, I don't know if she's out there listening right now. She's one of my favorite. One of my favorite. It's so great to see such a diverse group of people from all walks of life, from all parts of this country, from all parts of the world, as a matter of fact. Being part of this community, being part of the fucking fam, right? That's important. And trying in real life to engage in the democracy that they have now. And also, I want to thank everyone who's joined the Patreon. If you haven't gone join the Patreon, you can go follow for free. But if you can, I'd appreciate it if you become a paid member. If you notice, there's changes to the Patreon. We have new articles being posted. We have new art over there. We've got a whole new tier, and there'll be new benefits coming for those tiers. And we're going to rearrange stuff so that way it makes more sense over there on Patreon, because we've had so many people join if you join the Patreon for an entire year. And this microphone right here, just like today, this microphone is powered by you. It's not powered by ad makers. It's not powered by advertisers. It's not powered by Lawn Juice 1000. Super Grip gummies are the Bunion Stopper 5000. It's not powered by any of that. It's powered by you. A little bit of your money. A little bit of your money powers this microphone, but more than anything, the inspiration powers this microphone. Because this morning when I got up and I was so pissed off, I was so fucking pissed about this story. And I thought, can I really talk for 2 hours about teddy bears? Can I really tie this in? Will this be the most important The Tony Michaels podcast to date? I don't know. That's not for me to decide. Hell, it's not even for you to decide. That's for the world, the universe to decide. Hey, next week, the week after, all the way till November and after November. Is this the most important one? And I believe every single day is the most important one. And I have an optimism, and I carry the strength to sit here every single day and do what you have inspired the engagement that is in that Discord server. You have inspired the engagement that is on social media. You have inspired the engagement that happens in real life. In the book club, asking if your friends are registered, getting your friends registered, working in your local campaigns, asking questions about local politicians, paying attention to those local stories and talking to your friends and family about those issues that are affecting our communities. No matter what it is, no matter how you engage, find your talent. Find your passion. Believe in the institutions of democracy. And make sure that you have one goal, not power, one goal in mind. Just one. It's just one thing. Liberty. Liberty. Because as the intro says, the freedom is not liberty. It's not liberty. And it's sad that we have to say what liberty isn't. But in this moment, in this timeline, we must stand our ground. And we must stand our ground with children, with women, with the LGBTQ community, with brown people, black people, migrants, people of all religions, of all faiths, of all creeds, of all colors. We must stand with them with one goal, and that is liberty. So take that with you from today and from this show. If the teddy bear story pisses you off, and I can't even believe those words exist now, the teddy bear story pisses you off, use that fire and passion. And find a way to use that fire and passion to carry it with you and engage in your democracy, because we have to do one thing and one thing only in November. And that's to pile these MAGA fascists, these book burning, cousin fucking, puppy killing, teddy bear grasping MAGA Nazis. And it is us that stand in their way. Not the courts, not Joe Biden, not the Democrats. It's us, the voters. Remember that shit. They want power, but they still got to give us one power, just one, to vote for your liberty and to vote for your daughter's rights. Same time, same place on Monday. As always, have a happy weekend. Surf's up, motherfuckers.
You've been listening to the Tony Michaels Podcast. In your face commentary of current events and political news. No rules, no boundaries. I think we've made that perfectly clear. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon. In the meantime, follow Tony on social media at The Tony Michaels. And until next time, raise a fist and repeat after me. Fuck 'em.
Murphy's Mule Barn, head ass speaking.
If you've ever heard Adam Serwer's quote, the cruelty is the point, that is the quote. That is the line that runs through my head every single day doing this work, writing about abortion, today especially. So in Louisiana yesterday, Republicans voted to force raped children to give birth against their wills. That's not an exaggeration. That's what happened. Essentially, Democrats in the state proposed a rape and incest exception to the abortion ban for people of all ages. They saw that it was going to fail, and so they tried again with an amendment that would just give a rape and incest exception to children under 17. It still failed. And I want people to understand, Republicans voted against this. They voted to force rape children to give birth after hearing hours and hours of really emotional testimony, including testimony from an OBGYN who talked about a patient, a child rape victim, who was so young that she held on to her teddy bear while she gave birth. This is what they want. This is what they're voting for. I don't know how much clearer they can be.
Donald Trump arrived at his criminal trial today looking a bit off-kiltered, weak, a little bit lost. It's day 14, week 4 of Donald Trump's criminal trial. Stormy Daniels is on the stand. She's getting cross-examined by Donald Trump's lawyers. And it's going to... Donald Trump arrived in court. He was reading a script. He was reading from those articles that he has one of his staff and print out articles that Trump's campaign and Trump's lawyers will think Donald Trump would enjoy. And so Trump took one of those pieces of paper and started to Turley were saying about him. That's how it started, and it gets weirder and odder and more grotesque from there. But start off with this. Play it.
But he did a very bad thing. I just want to let you know that we've just filed a major motion in the appellate division concerning the absolutely unconstitutional gag order, where I'm essentially not allowed to talk to you about anything meaningful that's going on in the case, and many good things are going on with the case. It shouldn't have been filed. They had this morning the top legal scholars in the country. This is a Frankenstein case. They took a dead misdemeanor, they attached it to a dead alleged federal felony and zapped it back into life. So many of us are just amazed to watch this actually walk into court, because it's not a recognizable crime that any of us have seen. It's Jonathan Turley. I've been doing this for 60 years and I don't understand what crime he's been charged with. Nobody understands this. I just don't get the crime. There's no evidence of any crime whatsoever. This is a sham. That's Alan Dershowitz. And these are people that they speak their minds. They're not for me, they're for justice. This is another one. This is without precedent in American history, only with the desperation of President Joe Biden and his fanatic left-wing enforcers did it become possible to think about arresting and jailing their major political opponent. This case must be taken out of Judge Merchan's hands because he's totally conflicted. Judge Merchan is totally conflicted, like probably no judge has ever been conflicted before.
So then Donald talked about how people like Rick Scott, MAGA Republican senator from Florida, was joining him in court today. By the way, Rick Scott settled the case, Medicare fraud, to the tune of billions of dollars in the history of the United States. So frauds sitting with fraud going to be there with him in the court today. And then he goes and talks about how Americans are more dangerous than Russia or China. This is what this sick man is saying in court. Here, play this clip.
Today we have Rick Scott here, Senator Rick Scott. We have other politicians here. We have people, many people in support. The outside of this building is closed down like Fort Knox. Nobody's ever seen. We have so many police down here, New York's finest, and they are New York's finest. They're just told what to do, but they don't have them at Columbia. They don't have them at NYU or any other places. This is like an armed camp down here, and you have nothing to worry about. Believe me, your problem is from the left. It's not from the right. Big problem from the left. It's from within our country. That's a bigger, in my opinion, a bigger danger than China or Russia. You have it from the outside and you have it from within. From within is a bigger danger to our country, and it's from the left, not from the right.
Speaking of this utterly sick and disturbed man, when he's giving the speech before entering his criminal trial, he then says this horrific anti-Semitic statement. I'll just play it. Play the clip.
Biden is doing with respect to Israel is disgraceful. If any Jewish person voted for Joe Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. He's totally abandoned Israel, and nobody can believe it. I guess he feels good about it because he did it as a political decision. You have to do the right decision, not the political decision. But
seriously? He's saying that if any Jewish person votes for President Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves? How dare you? Who are you to say this? Who are you to be talking about this? Who are you to be the arbiter of this? You are in a criminal trial for making hush money payments because you had sex with a porn star while your wife had just given birth to your first son. How despicable and disgusting are you? Brag about sexually assaulting. Let me take you inside the courtroom for a moment, though. What's going on during the cross-examination where Donald Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, was cross-examining Stormy Daniels. Here was a notable thing that happened just moments ago. Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, says to Stormy Daniels, question, even though, Miss Daniels, you had agreed that you would not discuss this supposed story, and you had received a lot of money for that agreement, you then decided you wanted to publicly say that you had sex with Donald Trump. Isn't that true, Miss Daniels? Stormy Daniels answer, no. Nobody would ever want to publicly say that. Nobody would ever want to publicly admit that they did that with Donald Trump. I wanted to publicly defend myself after Michael Cohen told the story. Donald Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, then says, you wanted to make more money. Isn't that true, Miss Daniels? And Stormy Daniels says 60 Minutes was free. I did the interview for free. Susan Necheles then asks Stormy Daniels whether Daniels hoped she'd be instrumental in putting Donald Trump in jail. And Stormy Daniels responds, show me where I ever said instrumental in putting Trump to jail. That doesn't sound like anything I'd ever say. So Susan Necheles takes out a post from late March where Stormy Daniels is attacked by somebody on Twitter or X. And somebody says to Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen and at Stormy Daniels, aka the human toilet, are their star witnesses. And Stormy Daniels responded to that message on March 27th, exactly, making me the best person to third down. So that's what Susan Necheles showed Stormy Daniels, and Stormy Daniels said, so that's where you're saying that I said I want to be instrumental in putting him in jail? What are you talking about, Miss Necheles? I was applying to somebody who was calling me a human toilet bowl, so I was capitalizing on the joke. The jury seems to be hating this cross-exam of Stormy Daniels right now. Harry Litman, who partners with the Midas Touch Network, is in the courtroom right now, and he says the jury seems a bit detached and inattentive. They do not like, I think, Susan Necheles, Trump's lawyer, asking these questions. Karen Friedman Agnifilo from the Midas Touch Network commented about Karen Friedman Agnifilo had to say. Play this clip.
And, you know, look, she also talked about Trump's wife, that, you know, Trump said that, that you know, Melania is very beautiful, but we don't sleep in the same room. Apparently, Trump shook his head at that point. You know, she talked about, you know, the whole thing about, he asked her about condoms and does she wear condoms as a porn star? And of course, everyone knows he's a germaphobe. He reminds me of Ivanka. I realize the context that it was in, it seemed like it made sense. But when you know that he then had sex with her afterwards, it's so disgusting. I don't know. But
and finally, here's what Karen Friedman Agnifilo had to say about Trump's lawyers potentially open if Trump's lawyers are trying to act like this event never took place, that Stormy Daniels is lying about the whole thing. You heard Susan Necheles continuing to refer to this as the supposed incident, supposed event. Karen Friedman Agnifilo was a prosecutor, worked there for almost 30 years. Here's her perspective. Play the clip.
I don't know why it's too salacious and it's going to somehow prejudice things that she described the missionary position and no condom. It's not like she was describing his genitalia, which I actually think is fair game. If I were the prosecutor on the case, I would have actually had her describe it in detail, which she did. She said it had a particular shape that was unique. I would have asked for a search warrant, like I've done dozens of times, to take a picture to see whether they're telling the truth. Does it look the way she described or not? Right? She said it had like a mushroom head and it was unusually small or something, whatever it was. And I've done that a bunch of times, especially in child abuse cases where there'd be no reason for a child to know what something looked like. Again, I'd ask for details. Was there a birthmark? Was there some kind of identifying feature that police would go and take a picture? Those details were there. It's kind of game over, because suddenly it's like, well, how would she know that if it's not true?
And while of that's going on, here's what Donald Trump is saying about his lawyers right now.
I want to thank my lawyers. They've done a very good job, but I'd rather thank them after it's over as opposed to now, because we don't want them to get carried away. There's no case.
We will keep you updated as we learn more, but that's Donald Trump arriving in court, day 14, week 4. Good afternoon, Legal AFers. Good afternoon, Midas Mighty. Good afternoon, Karen.
Today, we welcome to the program Dr. Elizabeth Landsverk, who's a dementia and Alzheimer's disease expert, a geriatrician as well. Dr. Liz, it's so great having you on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to teach about dementia.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, let's start. I think at this point, the two major presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, have seen a number of very confident and boisterous allegations made about their cognition and their state of mind. We talked about experienced in the early 2010s as well, and maybe you'll have something to say about him. Can you give us just like a through media, television, audio, what is it you look for? What is it we can and cannot glean necessarily?
Well, it's a huge topic. I'll try and be brief. When we're talking about, does someone have capacity for an intervention? The question is, what is it? As a geriatrician, often I get asked, do they have financial capacity, and really have medical capacity, or can they sign a will? So if you only understand, what assets you have, your house, and who you'd like them to go to, that's called testamentary. Cool. Medical, you have to understand the medical interventions, like, you have an infection in your leg, they want to cut it off. That means you're going to be in the hospital for a while and you're not going to be able to walk on it. Can you repeat that back? The financial is most complicated because you have to understand abstract and reasoning. And basically, I'm taking this as an opportunity to talk to, the home audience. And when I have someone who is acting strangely and isn't taking care of their bills, or they're getting more angry than they used to, or they're just, their personality seems different, then I ask the families to have the person draw a clock, have it say 11:10, and have them calculate 25% of $22.50. Seems really simple, but our society is so conditioned that if you sound socially okay, we think you're okay. And I've had a number of patients where one gentleman was very successful businessman, but he drank too much and he was getting a divorce. And I could see he wasn't eating, he couldn't take care of the house, he couldn't get groceries, he needed the care. And the lawyer said, well, you can't have that care because, of the divorce settlement. And so they hadn't recognized he had the dementia, needed the help. And so I said, nope, you've got to make sure that you've, got care for him. This happens all the time. So I'm not going to, point out, I'm going to say what I look for. I look at function. And first I hear a lot about, Trump got and Haley confused. Those are fairly serious because these are the people that, this is his job, is to run about Iran and coal. Those are old age changes, where you get the names wrong. What I often look for is, the other bit that I remember hearing about is that Trump was, what Battle of Gettysburg was for. And
yeah, let me remind the audience on that. It was sort of a seeming non sequitur about Gettysburg, laced with superlatives and hyperbole about, wow, what about Gettysburg,
beautiful.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. And so you want the president to be in complex international situations and be able to be very focused on what's the best thing to do for America. That said, I think that Biden has made some stumbles. Most dynamic person around. He never has been. I look at the function of his programs. That they've brought back manufacturing, that brought NATO together, that they are working to protect Ukraine. He's looking. I mean, the Middle East is extremely complicated, and Hamas, who got money from Russia, attacked Israel and took hostages and killed 1,100 on October 7th, which is Putin's birthday. So there's a lot of really complicated movements, and what I see the team doing is trying to connect with all the players and the Middle Eastern leaders and keep the war from spreading.
So other experts have generically said, as you're sort of pointing out, that some of the things that are publicly noticeable about Trump are more concerning to them when it comes to capacity than what they are seeing from Biden. Generally, do you agree with that or not so much?
Well, so the things that concern me are not understanding, the context of a historical event like Gettysburg, but also when he was under deposition. So what I look for is function. So depositions are great, as opposed to, I guess he was noted to have 30,000 lies. So when he has a rally, whatever he says may or may not be true. So there's one kind of dementia related with alcoholism that's not for him. It's got confabulation, where you just make stuff up. But he was in his deposition, and they asked him if he had any medications or any reason he couldn't answer the questions that day, and he said no. And I've been in depositions as an expert witness, and I know the lawyers go through step by step exactly what you're supposed to say. And right in front of him, he had this, long written out statement about how this was a witch hunt, from Biden.
Yeah.
And his lawyer had to go, read the statement. So he didn't understand the context. So that's concerning, that if he's in a situation where, it's tense negotiations, that he may not be catching the cues. But the thing that's challenging, particularly for Trump, is that, and I'm not going to make a pronouncement here. I would say this is someone that should have geropsych testing, which is like 4 to 5 hours long, because you have to see a decline in function from your previous state. So Rudy Giuliani is an easier one, and I'm actually quite worried about him. Here's a man who in the 90s brought down the mob. I mean, you have to be on the top of your game to do that. And then just a year or two ago, he was having a presidential press conference at the Four Seasons, a landscaping parking lot, legal cases that he is not quite understanding everything that's going on. And when someone does indications of an intervention, in this case, the legal issues, then they don't have capacity for that.
When it comes to go back to something you said about comparing to an earlier baseline, a person, when I see Trump's speeches from the 2016 campaign and his TV appearances from 2012 and his Letterman appearance from 2005, the dynamicism, the diversity of vocabulary, there's something that seems to be gone from the way that he speaks. I can't discern whether it would be expected based on his age at these different times or whether there's more to it. What do you think?
Well, there can be a diminishment, like Biden is diminished, relative to 20 years ago as well. So I'm not going to, criticize that. What I will say is I in Washington, Wisconsin or Michigan, and he was saying things like, hey, I'm only using the teleprompter 8% of the time, and 92% of the time I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what is that about? I mean, a regular candidate would not. And the other thing about Trump is whatever he's feeling or worried about tends to come out in his speech. And so one of the frontal lobe tasks is it has your reasoning, it has your social filters, so it keeps you from saying things you really shouldn't say.
So this is
in a
like an
situation.
inhibition mechanism of sorts.
Exactly, right. So he's lost some of his inhibitions.
Dr. Liz, you said you wanted to mention something also about RFK Jr. because
Oh,
and
yes.
he's not getting as much attention as far as this sort of stuff goes. What's your impression?
Well, so as I said, I particularly look at function. What did Trump do during his presidency? What did Biden do during his presidency? Although these days, I've got to say that the news media has really made things problematic in that I looked it up, and in New Jersey, a cemetery is exempt from judicial seizure. So, I talked to someone who watches Fox News all the time, and he's like, that didn't happen. I was like, no, look. So I think that our country is kind of in silos, which is definitely a problem. RFK, he doesn't have, any experience running any big things. This whole question of having a dead worm in his brain, that's usually cysticercosis, and that causes inflammation. And also, he was shooting drugs as a kid, and he got hepatitis C. So that causes scarring. All of dementia is scarring, and mainly it can't be cured, no matter what the MD gurus say, but you can do things to decrease how fast it will progress. And RFK said in the 2012 deposition that he had memory loss, long-term, short-term, and he couldn't work as much, but better.
Right.
So that's not how it works. It's kind of like a heart attack. You get, damage to the brain, whether it's from strokes or Alzheimer's or alcohol or head injuries, or
So if I
infections.
understand correctly, you're saying that whatever damage, whatever